Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So Lost Caverns of Ixalan spoiler season continues on, and we have what might be the weirdest and strangest card from this entire set because, well, I'm not sure who was expecting Corpses of the Lost, but here you go! An enchantment for 2 in a black that is basically unlike any other enchantment we've seen really in quite a long time, or I can't even think of another enchantment that's quite like this one. It starts off normal, but not normal. Skeletons you control get +1/+0 and have haste, so apparently Skeleton Tribal, now a thing. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 black skeleton pirate creature token, so when it ETBs, you get a 2/2, which is basically a 3/2 with haste. On top of that, and this is the strange part, at the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, you may pay 1 life. If you do, return Corpse of the Lost to its owner's hand. And of course, you descended if a permanent card is put in your graveyard from anywhere. Now, a quick clarification on this that I believe I read, I think it was on Reddit. And I believe this is correct, but correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong on this, judges out there. It says permanent card, so technically that doesn't include tokens, even though that's incredibly confusing, and I don't believe that Wizards should have ever made a distinction between those two things, because, yeah, that's confusing, and especially for a casual format like EDH, yeah, you're going to run into that issue a lot when you're like, hey, I descended because my token at the graveyard. No, technically that's not a permanent card. Yes, it is a permanent, and it's a physical card that you can hold, but it is not a permanent card. Weird. Okay, anyways. What is weird about this card, though, is, again, it's kind of like a sorcery in a way. It's one that you can basically keep getting back again and again and again. It doesn't act like other enchantments in that, yeah, when you play it again, cool. Like, its actual enchantment type effect that you see on enchantments is more of a static effect, right? Hey, skeletons you control get +0 of haste. It does have an ETB, which we're starting to see on more and more enchantments more recently. So yeah, again, that way it's kind of like a sorcery. It's like, hey, make a 2/2, which basically is a 3/2 with haste. But on top of that, again, it's repeatable. You can get it back simply by descending and getting to your end step and paying 1 life, which is a very, very low cost to be able to keep casting this again and again and again to make more and more 2/2s, which are really 3/2s with haste. So again, it's kind of a repeatable sorcery in a way that also just has a base level of, hey, if you've got Skeleton Tribal, or at the very least, with these skeletons that I'm making, I can pump them and give them haste. So yeah, a very strange card, but one that does have some applications, and in a very, very weird way, potentially in one of my decks that technically isn't Skeleton Tribal, but technically is, and we'll jump into that. So on this episode, let's talk about some different different aspects of this card, and then different kinds of commanders that might want to consider this card. So with all that said, let's jump into it. So to start things off, yeah, it is pretty simple to descend in a game of Commander. I mean, in any kind of format in Magic, but when it comes to Commander, yeah, Evolving Wilds, those types of fetch lands, even actually, obviously, the expensive fetch lands, are a very simple way to descend. Hey, tap, sacrifice it, go get a basic put and play tapped. Yeah, congratulations, you put a permanent from permanent card, again, specifically, permanent card from play into your graveyard. Again, it can be from anywhere into your graveyard where it actually counts descend. Cool. Then all of a sudden you get your end step. You're like, yeah, I'll pay the 1 life, get it back to my hand. It's very, very easy to trigger that. Again, it can be from cycling something that is a permanent. It can be from milling something that is a permanent that hits your graveyard. It can be from sacrificing something, a creature dying, an artifact getting dealt with. Whatever it is, yeah, there's plenty of ways to actually descend. And again, none of those apparently involve tokens for whatever reason. Moving on, Enchantress's Presence. This is another kind of aspect of the card, obviously. This is a repeatable cast enchantment, and there aren't really too many out there. Again, this is basically an enchantment that you're like, yeah, I'll bounce it back. I'll recast it. I'll bounce it back. I'll recast it. You get a benefit from already doing so. Again, that ETB of making a 2/2, but also, yeah, an Enchantress style deck, you can really take advantage of this, obviously, because Enchantress style decks, I don't know if you knew this, love repeatable enchantments. Enchantress style decks basically have these, like Enchantress Presence, enchantment for 2 and a green. Whenever you cast enchantment spell, you draw a card. You got a lot of those effects in play. You would love to have repeatable enchantments that you can get back in your hand, recast, and then all of a sudden, draw an absurd amount of cards just by casting one spell throughout the game. So yeah, Enchantress decks can definitely consider this one, even though they might not care all that much about making a 3-2 with haste, but it's not a bad thing to do, obviously. Moving on, yeah, like I said earlier, Skeleton Tribal, yeah, apparently now it's going to be a thing. There you go, Skeleton Tribal. I mean, I guess Death Baron was way ahead on this. A 2-2 zombie wizard, for 1 black, skeletons you control and other zombies you control, get ++1 and have Death Touch. This is one of those cards where it's like, yeah, this was really meant mostly for the zombies for most players out there, because zombie is an incredibly powerful and incredibly well known and incredibly well supported tribe, whereas skeletons are like, yeah, oh, this made a skeleton? Weird. Okay, yeah, I guess I'll play something that made a skeleton. But now, yeah, in combination with other skeleton tribal things, we'll see if we get even more. Cool, we could have some, you know, actual kind of, you know, a tribal deck running around with skeleton tribal. And not saying that there aren't already skeleton tribal decks out there, we're talking about an example, but yeah, it could actually become even more of a thing. But now let's move on to some commanders that might want to consider this one. And again, like I mentioned, if you're in an Enchantress style build and you have black in the commander's color identity, there you go. This is a card, this is an enchantment that can just repeat cast again and again and again and again. It's pretty easy to be able to get back to your hand. Again, just a simple descend by sacrificing Evolving Wilds, you know, a creature dying, whatever it is. It's pretty easy to get back in your hand. Daxos to return, 2/2 zombie soldier for 3 mana and Orzhov. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you get an experience counter. By paying 1 white and a black, you get a white and black spirit enchantment creature token on the battlefield that has its power and types for each will number of experience counters you have. So again, the more and more and more enchantments you cast, the more experience counters you get. And then all of a sudden you're making massive, massive, massive creatures. So there you go. Being able to recast this one again and again and again can give you a ton of value throughout the game, on top of all the other Enchantress style effects and benefits that you get, you know, with Constellation, enchantments coming into play, cast triggers, again on those Enchantress style effects as well. Moving on, Taigam Sidisi's Hand. Any kind of a self-mill strategy might want to consider this one as well, depending on how they're built. If they're super creature heavy and don't really want to consider enchantments, sure, maybe not. But yeah, I mean, if you've got something like Taigam, a 3/4 human wizard for 5 mana, in Dimir, skip your draw step, beginning of your upkeep, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 in your hand, the rest in your graveyard. By paying X, you can tap and exile cards from your graveyard, target creature gets -X all turn. Basically, again, because Descend isn't specific, I mean, it is specific about, again, non-token for some reason, really, but it isn't specific about where that permanent hits the graveyard from. If you say, again, look at the top of your library, and you're like, oh, cool, I like this one, I don't like these two. Graveyard, if one of those is a permanent, cool, you're going to trigger that Descend, so make sure you're keeping that in mind. Moving on. Pirate Tribal actually can consider this one in a weird way-ish, because again, this is a repeatable way to make more and more and more pirates, because they are skeleton pirates, so keep that in mind. Admiral Beckett Brass, a really good commander. A 3/3 human pirate for 4 mana in Grixis. Other pirates you control get +1/+1, so again, just inherently, by playing the new Corpses card, you make a 2/2, which is basically a 3/2, which is now basically a 4/3 with haste. And again, you can just keep playing that again and again and again. Beginning of your end step, gain control target non-land permanent controlled by a player who has dealt combat damage by 3 or more pirates this turn. Again, getting more and more pirates in play is always going to be a good thing with this commander, especially ones that are hasty and can swing through in advantageous situations. On top of that, yeah, I mean, if you're stealing your opponent's things and those things get dealt with, that's going to help with this Descend as well. Again, it's unfortunate that doesn't count with the, you know, creature tokens. That's okay, though. Moving on, Skeleton Ship. Skeleton Ship players out there that have skeleton tribal decks built around this, I know you're out there because I see you on EDH Rec. There you go. You got a really, really big card for the deck now. Skeleton Ship actually built a deck around this one once. It was based on untapping, though, actually, and playing with those counters and targeting effects. 0/3. I believe it's a skeleton. I can't remember. Is this a skeleton pirate? It's a ship. I mean, but it's a creature. It's weird. It's a summon legend, but I forgot the Oracle tag. My apologies. 5 mana to be your commander. Basically, we control any islands. You have to sacrifice it, so that's unfortunate. Tap, put a -1/-1 counter target creature. Cool. So a lot of ways to play with that, but again, some players just build, hey, this is where I'm throwing all my skeletons in play, or in the deck, and yeah, there you go. You have another skeleton tribal card, a great anthem card for it. Moving on. This one is actually one that affects me. Hey, Mirror Entity, a 1/1 shapeshifter for 3 mana. This is not a commander, but it is basically a secret commander of my General Tazri deck. And yeah, basically you play General Tazri, go get an ally out of your library. Cool, it's this, Mirror Entity. A 1/1 shapeshifter for change only costs 3 mana. Pay X until turn creature control base power notice XX and gain all creature types. So, being able to give every single one of your creatures, every single creature type is a huge superpower. And essentially, yeah, you just pay 1 mana into this, or 0 if you've got an Anthem in play that actually pumps, say, all, I mean, it was close with the skeleton one, right? It's like, hey, all elves get +1/+1. Cool, you can just pay 1 mana into that, because all these are going to be elves. They all get +1/+1. But now with the skeleton one, it gives +1/+0 and haste, which is huge. Haste is massive for this kind of a deck. There's certain creatures in the deck like, hey, tap for X mana based on the number of elves you control or humans you control or whatnot. And all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I can just play this card, tap right away, play this card, tap right away, do some crazy powerful effects and things. And yes, this is definitely one in consideration if it's going to be budget friendly. And I think it's going to be budget friendly. There are certain decks out there. It's a pretty niche card, but it's one that's pretty interesting and one that, again, acts in a different way. So we shall see kind of where this lands. I mean, again, it's a card that just had me scratch my head. So I was like, what is this? But now this episode is coming to a close. It's time for me to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts are on Corpses of the Lost. Yeah, in my opinion, one of the strangest cards that we've seen in quite some time. Again, it's like an enchantment that acts as a sorcery in a way, but it's repeatable. It's quite strange. And again, it's for a tribe that really doesn't have much support out there. I mean, like some like ancillary support, like from someone like, again, Death Baron basically is like, hey, zombie tribal, yeah. Oh, and I guess skeleton too. Why not? Sure. But yeah, this one's like, no, skeletons are cool. Just follow me, watch on. I mean, and it also can be utilized in Pirate Tribal too, because again, it's making skeleton pirates. But yeah, it's a very interesting card with a lot of cool aspects to it. Again, a lot of different ways that you can utilize it. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on this one. Make sure to stay tuned to this channel for more exciting quick takes and spoilers. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.